Cross-platform play has long been considered a sort of holy grail in the video game industry. The idea of making a multiplayer video game and making it so that 2 or more people can play the same video game with each other at the same time, but not needing to have the same console or platform. With our current technology, we can certainly do that, and it's already begun happening with some games as more developers become open to the idea. So what are the stumbling blocks, and how do we think more developers could get on board with what many see as the next frontier in gaming? Listen in as we talk crossplay next on Downloadable Content. Hello everyone, welcome to Downloadable Content, and with me we have Nick.
Still with a cold, hello.
And Nick Alone Day. It's just Nick and I for this episode after Ron had his 100th episode last time. He's taking a well-deserved break, or he's playing D&D, or whatever.
Yeah, he'll take a whole 1 episode break, and we'll drag him back out for the next one.
Yep. It's he's hit triple digits now, so everyone's gonna need to step up.
I'm doing my part. My part.
Only 63 more to go for you, Nick. So, but yes, we're gonna talk about cross-platform play. And before we dive into the discussion, just want to let everyone know that every single episode of Downloadable Content can be found on our website, dlcpodcast.com. You can check out upcoming recordings, see the topics that we're going to discuss, let us know if you want to be in on an episode, or you can use the feedback button to give us thoughts or ideas for future episodes. And also, every single episode can also be found on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, and Google Play Music. So, all there, dlcpodcast.com.
And please, we really want ideas. Sometimes the well runs a little dry at times.
Occasionally. But I mean, we've been managing to do this for 8 years now, so we haven't run out yet. Like, when we start doing things like reviewing cat videos, then, maybe...
Honestly, dude, I could do the whole thing on that.
You probably could. And DLC has jumped the shark. Good night, everybody.
We went full Fonz.
Yeah, that's it. Done, over, finished. But yes, we're going to talk about cross-platform play, which you wouldn't think it would be something that is... impossible. I mean, this is something that we as gamers have wanted seemingly forever. Just the whole
idea. I think since online play ever really became a regular staple of gaming, we wanted something to just say, hey, I got a PS3, he's got a 360, it's the same game, what the fuck?
Yeah. And, especially now that we live in an era of gaming where console-exclusive titles are pretty much right out the window, unless you're Nintendo.
Oh, yeah, Nintendo.
Yeah, it's just like, if a game comes out on PS4, chances are it's going to also be available at some point, if not at the same time as Xbox One or PC. So
very limited exclusivity windows, And usually even for PS4 versions and no Xbox versions, you still see Steam versions crop up sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, you have case in point. You have Final Fantasy 15, which came out almost 2 years ago and is now slated for a March release on PC. So, if exclusives exist nowadays, if you're not Nintendo, it's a timed exclusive. At which point, then anyone who doesn't own that particular console just has to wait it out now. It's like we don't really live in an age where it's like if you don't have that one console, you'll never be able to play it.
Unless it's a first party.
Right.
Which then, that's pretty much Nintendo's got that market cornered.
Yep. So it's like, yeah, why not have more multiplayer games be available for cross-platform play?
It really, and stop me if you think that I'm wrong here, but it seems like a no-brainer, wouldn't you say? That it would just, you want to have the biggest pool of gamers to be able to play with each other, to have it regardless of server exclusivity or maybe back in 10 years ago, maybe the hardwares were different enough that might have made it a little more difficult, but with everything now using pretty much the same parts
and the
internet, what's stopping it?
Well, to go along with your point, from a consumer standpoint, this sounds like a no-brainer, but as we all know, common sense and business logic are almost never in agreement.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. And we're starting to see more and more developers have the same sort of idea, like, why not? Like, we can do this. Some recent examples of crossplay involve the game Rocket League, for example, where
was probably the first big example, wasn't it?
It's for me personally, it was probably one of the more bigger notable releases. It's not something that we are familiar with, but yeah, Rocket League was one such game. I believe you can play that. I'm gonna look up Rocket League now, just so I'm not completely talking out of my ass.
PS4, Switch, Xbox One, Steam, even Mac and Linux. Pretty much, you assume we're gonna see a Commodore 64 release.
So, Rocket League, you can do. It features crossplay with Xbox One and PC. So if you have Rocket League for Switch, PC, or Xbox One, you can do online multiplayer between the three.
Yep.
Which is just, even 5 years ago, that whole idea of mind-blowing. And, it's getting more and more. I get the demand is becoming more and more prevalent, especially with something that happened this past September with the game Fortnite that was Epic Games, in which they accidentally allowed crossplay between Xbox One and PS4.
How do you accidentally do that? Is my biggest question. But
with the fact that, Fortnite, Epic Games, this was an accident that they called it a quote-unquote configuration issue, which has since been fixed, as in they took it away.
Of course.
So this
and
game,
I guess this was Sony's doing, if I'm not mistaken, to have that removed.
Yeah, Sony, and we'll elaborate on this later. Of all of this crossplay, this new thing, Sony has been the biggest stick in the mud about it. Like, the idea of having crossplay between PS4 and Xbox One, Sony has been pretty adamant that no, it shall never happen. Sony wants no part of it.
Which is kind of weird. I would have thought Microsoft would be the one to have that kind of firm stance because, I mean, look at everything else that they tend to have is, no, it's ours, it's our property, ours alone, and if you want to be a part of it, you gotta be in the Microsoft network. But no, they've been surprisingly be like, yeah, let's do this. What's stopping us? And so a real role reversal for me.
Yes, it's the whole idea of console crossplay. I mean, we've already. It's not a new thing for like PC and Xbox to play against each other because chances are if you're playing a game on PC, it's Windows.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of playing a multiplayer game between Xbox and PC, that's not new. That's not a new thing. That's been going on for a while because
playing between PS4 and Vita, again, not new.
Yeah, not new. But the whole fact that the accidental crossplay for Fortnite between PS4 and Xbox 360, first of all, not only proved that it can be done. It can be done by accident, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But for some reason, calls for more games to allow for crossplay between Xbox and Sony. Sony has been very, very reluctant, very resistant. They don't want to do that. And gamers are just like, why?
I mean, are you that spooked that if there is that if you do have crossplay, that it might affect your sales? Like, that might convince people to not buy your PS4s? I don't understand that because really, the only reason why I have a PS4 is because they have exclusive games that I want to play. Up until the Switch announced that they will have Dragon Quest XI, then, well, PS4 kind of got screwed on that one. But it's for the reason I don't have Xbox One. Everything I can play on PC. So is it really going to, are you afraid that by promoting cross-platform play, you're giving consumers the reason to not buy PS4s? I don't really agree with that because if people like your systems, they're going to buy it regardless of whatever features you are going to have with it, at least in my opinion.
And, you actually, hit the nail on the head. It's exactly that. Sony thinks that by doing a crossplay between them and Xbox, that yes, it is going to affect their bottom line. It's going to affect their bottom line enough, and they're afraid of that. Because right now, in the current generation, Sony is the front runner.
Yep.
And they don't want to lose it. They do not want to do anything to jeopardize their market position, despite the fact that they are officially... They're saying that they're avoiding crossplay to avoid exposing children to, quote, external influences on other networks that it's not responsible for. So, all right. So Sony is using the think of the children argument to avoid getting into cross-platform play.
Meanwhile, the average age of your gamer is about 33 years old, thereabouts.
It's
where the average, I think 85% of all current gamers are above the age of 18, you're not going.
Yeah, and just for my money, anytime anyone uses a think of the children excuse to not do something, it's bullshit. Like 99% of the time, it's bullshit. It's utter crap.
Yep.
So anyone with half a brain cell looks at Sony saying, "No, we don't want to do crossplay between Xbox and PS4 because the children. We want to avoid exposing the children to the external influences." But meanwhile, you're allowing crossplay between PS4 and PC.
And although I don't agree with this, some people could make the argument that that's even worse. But I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it's like right now Sony has basically a 2-to-1 sales lead over Microsoft. So
that sounds about right. Microsoft got a late start. PS4 hit the market first. And probably the Switch is catching up pretty fast.
So, it doesn't surprise me that because Sony right now has the dominant share of the market, they want gamers to be in that situation of, like, feeling left out because they kind of want to punish the fan base, like, oh, you went with Xbox One instead of buying the front-running leading PS4.
I think this kind of comes back to what we talked about last year, Brian, with, we all want our gaming libraries to be in one area. And just, I want to be able to not move around the house and hook up 14 different systems to play everything I want to play. Just one machine. That's it. And I think that's what people want with crossplay. They don't want they don't want 6 machines hooked up to their monitors.
Not anymore.
No. I mean, we don't have the room. I literally have a full cabinet of old hard and software that I don't use anymore, but I'm too stingy and nostalgic to get rid of it.
That's fair. I think you're not the only one in that boat, even though I've been trying to whittle down my physical video.
I know it will never happen for me in a million years.
Yeah, it's like sometimes out of necessity, I was, with all this moving, I would buy the digital version of a game and then sell the physical version. So, but part of it's like, I haven't hooked up my PS2 in 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like, part of me goes, I could so easily get rid of this. I haven't touched this in years. It's just collecting dust. But then part of me goes,
with the nostalgia.
But my baby.
You
got me through high school and early college.
That's how I feel about my Super Nintendo. Like, the thing barely works anymore. But shit, that thing had over 25 years of use? I mean, it served its time.
Oh, yeah.
And we all know Nintendo systems last for fucking ever. Unless it's the laser reader.
Yeah, it just surprises me, though, that because Sony is the front runner and they are the dominant console in this generation right now by, 2-to-1 over Microsoft, and that ratio is probably much wider with the Switch. You would think that as the front runner, they could lean back and go, you know what? We've got the market share. Why not? Let's open it up.
And as I said before, a lot of people, and again, I speak for myself and I can't speak for others around me, But I purchased PS4s not for their online capabilities and not for who else owns a PS4, but I own it for the exclusive titles that I can only play on that system and nowhere else. That's why I have it. So, and maybe this is just me being the individual and not speaking as a whole, but not promoting cross-platform play is not gonna prevent me from buying or not buying your systems.
And while that is true now, you take a look at Microsoft, who has adopted pretty wholeheartedly the idea of crossplay. You know, when Epic Games accidentally allowed crossplay in Fortnite for a few hours with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, Phil Spector weighed in and said, yeah, they should have left it on.
Yeah. Because and I think it's the shift in strategy for Microsoft, because especially with the Xbox Play Anywhere, I think they're understanding I think this is more of a more just company philosophy than anything else, that the consoles are more or less short-lived. And again, kind of going back to the conversation we had last year of this, I think the consoles are starting to phase out, and that they're pushing more Windows 10 and PC type, platforming and gaming, and our portable machines and tablets now can easily power high-end gaming.
Oh yeah,
I've seen tiny ass laptops that have kick-ass graphics and performance parts inside of it, and yeah, you might still have a little bit of an overheating issue, because I ran into that the other day. It's the fact of the matter is that it exists now. 5 years ago, all right, yeah, if you wanted a gaming laptop, it was still a pretty big and bulky, and that the best high-end gaming machines were big-ass towers.
Thousands of dollars, yeah.
And consoles were still important because they were a more cost-effective solution. But that's starting to change now. I mean, the Xbox One was what, $400? Something like that?
I believe it was, yes.
I mean, for not that much more, you can have a computer that can do gaming and then some.
And pretty decently.
And very well, yeah. So, I think for Xbox, it's kind of this philosophy shift. So, if they're kind of looking at their Xbox Ones and going, yeah, I don't think this is going to stick around. PC's where it's at. Windows 10 is where it's at. What do they care?
Point of correction. When it was initially released, it was $500, and then then they released the version without the Kinect sensor, and that was the $400.
I'm thinking of the Xbox One X. I'm sorry.
Nope,
I'm thinking of that Scorpio project.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother rant with Microsoft and Sony putting out 37 different varieties of the same console. It's you're not Heinz. Stop it. None of this 57 varieties of the same console, or Baskin Robbins. We don't need 32
at least
flavors.
those 31 flavors are unique.
Very true. So, it's just... And, you mentioned it there, company policy. So, since it's obvious that current consoles are capable of crossplay, It's now a question of, okay, well, we have the technology to do it, so why aren't we doing it? Company policy. And, we're seeing it with Sony, who just out and out refuses to play nice with the competition. Whereas Microsoft has gone full all in with cross-platform play. They want, whenever possible, if a game is in development, if it has the ability to be able to cross-play with PC and Switch, for fuck's sake. Microsoft is extending the olive branch to Nintendo.
To be fair, they've kind of been working together for a little while now, especially with the whole Minecraft thing.
Which is another major cross-play title.
Yep.
So and you have Microsoft, who's doing this, and Nintendo, bless their heart, they, we've mentioned regularly about, the very strict corporate structure of Nintendo, how very, very old school Japanese management ideas. But even Nintendo now, as they baby crawl into the 21st century, is starting to go, this is not a bad idea.
Nintendo really has nothing to fear from PS4 and Xbox One because
they never have.
They never have because of their exclusives. And as long as people are going to continue to buy and eat up Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Pokemon, they're always going to have money. People are always going to buy their systems. People are always going to buy their games. So what do they have to fear? Why not accept that offer with the Xbox to cross-platform play?
Absolutely, and Nintendo has gone on record many times as saying that we're not competing with them. And Nintendo has always tried to do its own thing, for better or for worse.
I mean, shit, Nintendo's gonna make a game with goddamn cardboard.
Yes, I did see that.
I hope you have heard of this.
I have. And I saw it and I went, that's gonna be amazing for children.
I pity every person who owns a cat. Because that is not going to last very long.
Nope. We're going to have the next console is going to be the Nintendo If It Fits, I Sits. It's that's the next Nintendo console. And yeah, Nintendo has always tried to be that sort of developer that has they've always tried to want to appeal to as wide an audience as possible. And we saw that with the Wii, the original Wii.
Yes.
102 million units. Good God. So the idea of cross-platform play, it just seems like a natural extension of what Nintendo is trying to do. And which also helps third parties as well. We're seeing more and more third-party support for Nintendo, and the idea of having a cross-platform play will only help that, I feel. And I think what's going to happen is that Microsoft is getting into cross-platform play. Nintendo is getting into cross-platform play. Sony's the stick in the mud. And I think that while it's not a problem with Sony now. I mean, you said it yourself that you didn't buy the PS4 for cross-platform play, and that opinion is probably likely shared with the vast majority of PS4 owners. It's not a problem now, but I think that if cross-platform play continues, if this keeps growing, and we start seeing more games that have this feature, eventually Sony is going to be left out, and eventually Sony's firm position on no cross-platform play with the other consoles eventually, I think, will bite them.
Now, let me throw out this hypothetical then.
All right.
As long as we're talking about this, you are familiar with the Monster Hunter series, correct?
In name, yes. I've never played.
I have not either, but it is all I have heard about over the last week. This is all people have been playing.
Well, it just came out, I think. Monster Hunter World.
Yes, Monster Hunter World just came out, and it's all I've heard this week. It is enough to have at least made me warrant looking into it. Now, Microsoft is having some online play issues. Sony's is pretty seamless. Okay. The PC version comes out late this year. And if I were to get it, it would probably be the PC version. And say I get cross-platform play with Xbox One. And being able to play with the Xbox One users. And to have those people help guide me and tutor me and help me understand the finer mechanics of Monster Hunter. Should I go down this path? Would that not be like the big thing that would help push people up and over the top with buying more Xbox Ones or building PCs than for the PS4 people who are just stuck playing with other PS4 users that don't get that extra audience and extra exposure? Who's to say?
Yes. It just seems like, I mean, right now, obviously, brand new game, so there's going to be some kinks to work out, as is the case.
Always is. And I guess it's specifically an Xbox One problem, which, yeah, that sucks.
I mean, right now, Monster Hunter World does not have cross-platform play at this time.
No, it doesn't.
Capcom, however, there is no... they've removed any kind of, like, regional matchmaking. Which, you know, that's good, but still, the fact that, you know, if this does become a cross-platform title, if Capcom eventually does something with this later down the line, yeah, I mean, look at the additional audience you've got.
And for that matter, what about Dragon Ball FighterZ? They certainly have entertained the option. They have entertained a Switch option, and potentially doing cross-platform play with that. Again, what's to say? That gives extra exposure to Steam, Xbox One, Switch. It's just like Rocket League.
Yes. And Rocket League is an amazing game. Oh my god, Wyatt showed me this game and I just got sucked right in.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen plenty of people play it, and I would be downright awful at it if I got a copy.
Oh, it's so much fun. And, you know, I would think that because this does have cross-platform play between Switch and the Xbox One, it's just there's also, not only can you play with gamers from all over the world who have any of those three platforms, but the thought comes into my brain that maybe this might have a residual effect on players. They might buy more than one copy of the game. Say you have a PC and a Switch.
Yeah.
Maybe you buy this game on both consoles.
And I just see so many examples, especially with the rise of the competitive community, that I know, to have people be able to play on the platform of their choice and be able to have competitions with anyone. Let's bring up a big one that's going to have like season play and like these huge, massive competitions. Ubisoft's Skull and Bones, a pirate game. And it basically took the pirating concept of Assassin's Creed 4 and just said, we're just going to make a full game based on that. Which sounds awesome. And you get to basically team up with other pirates. You are competing. You are cooperating, but you're also competing because the other players can perform mutiny on you and kick you out.
Haha.
So you're constantly in this like tedious relationship with other pirates in order to be the number one pirate. Suddenly we're in an episode of One Piece. But have that not be limited. Because I've thought about maybe getting it for PC. There'll be a PS4 and an Xbox One version.
Yep.
But again, have a league competition with between PC and Xbox One players, considering Sony will continue to be a stick in the mud. You suddenly, your league play has increased by several, assuming equal parts, you doubled. Now you have twice as many players to worry about, twice as many teammates you can team up with. Your league play now is suddenly much bigger, a much bigger pool to draw from, instead of just saying, well, here's your PC pool, here's your PS4 pool, here's your Xbox One pool.
And that's it.
Yeah, and instead of 3 small pools, you have one large body of water. Ha! I see what I did there.
Haha!
Ha-ha!
This battle of wits is over!
But you want to... And I'm not much of a competitive gamer. I'll be the first one to tell you that. In fact, I'm kind of turned off by a lot of the fighting game circuits and the MOBAs and whatnot. Throw in some cool pirate action and suddenly you might... kind of sort of have my attention.
I'll say this right now, though. If there was a new Mario Golf for the Switch that had online capability...
Hey, there's gonna be a new Mario Tennis with online.
Oh, well, you and I might kill each other. So, because I'm like, oh, Mario Sports title. I'm gonna have a look at this.
But to my point, to create as much of a diverse pool of competition as possible, especially with how the competition circuits and how much money esports has in it right now. I mean, it's a thing. Esports is now a legitimate thing. Full leagues with multi-million-dollar prize pools, and I ask myself, where was this 15 years ago? I could have been someone.
Oh, you still can. You're only in your early 30s. Don't take the cyanide pill yet.
Dude. There was one game, and they said, and now we're going to have a senior circuit for people 30 and over, and I went, don't do that!
That's it.
Don't say that! I feel old!
Don't say that, and suddenly Nick is in a corner chugging a bottle of Mylanta.
I was hoping you would say Scotch older than he is, but...
Oh, somebody pass me the Geritol. Oh.
I'm missing my one-a-days!
Yeah. God. It's like, no, our senior circuit. I'm gonna slap them.
Yeah, when I first read that, I was like, wait, I'm not that old!
You're like, wait a second!
My reflexes haven't been that shot. I mean, yeah, my 23-year-old self was a lot faster on the draw, but...
Just drink some Red Bull, you'll be fine.
How about
right.
what was it, Adderall that they made you like zero focus in? That was like that big.
Yes, which they're drug testing for in esports.
Are you shocked?
No, I'm not. Not at all. Not in the slightest.
So,
all right.
I mean, suddenly when you have $1 million on the line, yeah, I'll pop a few Adderall. What the fuck?
Yeah. And here, Nick, we please piss in this cup.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, they've already started.
Exactly. But to my point, if you want, especially for these games that want to have huge competition pools, why have 3 different circuits for Sony, Microsoft, and PC? Just have one big one.
Yeah.
Have people play on the platform of their choice, whatever they want. And you're right, especially with something as portable like the Switch, it might convince people to buy an extra copy. And it only helps. It only helps the developers of those games. Could you put an argument that might hurt the people providing the systems? Perhaps. But I don't think it really is going to make a huge difference in the long run. At least, that's my opinion.
All right. So I think it is on this particular note where we will cut to break here. And we'll continue this discussion on the second half as you have some music to listen to, as is our usual custom here on DLC. You are listening to Nick and I talking about cross-platform play. Here on Downloadable Content, we'll be back. Welcome back to our second half here. Downloadable content, talk about cross-platform play. Nick and I are still here.
Haven't run. We have not succumbed to laryngitis yet. I know it's been kind of a nasty flu and cold season.
Well, it doesn't help when the temperatures that we've been having this winter
80, 20, 30, 50.
Oh my God. Yeah, insert Robin Williams quote here. It's just, that's what's happening. It's like one day it's almost 60, then the next it's literally single digits, and it's like...
Single? It's been negatives in around here, and it's just... I can't complete a thought. I'm sitting out here in my t-shirt and pants trying to haul out a shipment, and it's like, fuck.
This was a bad idea.
And it's not like I could just leave it alone. It has to be done.
Yeah, it's like, shit!
You're moving about twice as fast trying to move 4,000 pounds of roll stock cores, just going, move this faster, I need to get back inside.
It's just like, my dick is going to fall off, just frostbite, get out of it. Yeah,
and then the next day it's 50 and you're like, and suddenly I'm sweating.
Yeah, suddenly I'm sweating bullets and I'm plague. Nice. So... But back to the subject at hand, where this is not an episode about frostbitten penises or, things like that. But yeah, downloadable content, come on. I mean, come on. Very fine, sophisticated program. Only the best frostbitten dicks on this episode. So
Pinkies up.
Yes, exactly. So, we're talking about cross-platform play and why this isn't it's starting to become more of a thing. I mean, now that we have the technology that is certainly capable of doing it, it's now just a question of logistics. I mean, there are some games that obviously it depends on the game. Not every single game is going to be suited for cross-platform play because the control schemes might be vastly different for one platform as opposed to another platform.
I have a hard time believing that an RTS like Halo Wars would be suitable for PC and Xbox One when Xbox One has to deal with a controller. Meanwhile, PC users can have the full range of their keyboards. That would be a lot easier to handle, and I would think PC players would have an edge.
Which is one of the criticisms against cross-platform play, exactly that reason. Because, again, PC gamers have the keyboard and mouse, as you just mentioned, and console players have the controller.
I think for games, obviously for things like fighting games, it's not going to matter.
No.
There's no way that will matter. RTSs? Oh, hell yeah. There's a hell of a difference. Because...
And like racing games as well?
Yeah. Kinda, sorta. Like nowadays, like my roommate is a competitive racer. Mm. And he has the full racing setup. And that's almost as good as a controller.
Alright.
So... as long as you're willing to invest the extra money, because it's not cheap, you're looking at about, a cheap set is like $150. But it's possible. But I think things like, and even FPSs, I've seen some extremely good FPS players that excel with a controller. But you give them a mouse and a keyboard, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. So I think the gap between those, I think is starting to narrow. I'd say PC still has the edge, just because of how you can configure your mouse and keyboard. But you could do the same thing for a Xbox controller or PS4 controller, certainly.
Yep. And,
So I think for most games, I think the skill gap between them is starting to narrow to the point where I think it's nominal, with the exception of a few genres. One being RTSs.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, fighting games, that's not going to matter. I mean, there was, like, Killer Instinct supports cross-platform play, for example. You know, fighting games are fighting games are fighting games. It's
Yeah.
no one platform really has the edge over the other. And
I
now
mean, and especially a lot of people prefer fight sticks, and those are usually connected via USB anyway.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
And now with the Switch having a more quote-unquote standard control scheme again.
In the most Nintendo way possible, but yes.
Yes! That's... Yes! In the absolute most Nintendo way possible. But yes, now that they're back to a normal-ish sort of control scheme, I mean... You could, with the Joy-Cons or with the Switch Pro controller, which I love that thing.
Yeah,
I have one, and I use it when
it's great for Zelda. It's great for almost everything. The only game that I was like, I'd rather use the Joy-Cons was Odyssey.
Which I'm gonna start after we finish moving. That is in its shrink wrap, along with the other game that is in its shrink wrap, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They are ready, and once this move is done, I'll be diving back in. So, but yes, now that Nintendo's back to a more normal control scheme, you know, they too are exploring cross-platform, and it's. I just saw it. Where did it go? I hate when I lose something.
I'll give you a minute.
There we go. So, but we go back to Sony, which, you know, again, the stick in the mud in all of this. And, you know, while they have no problem doing cross-platform play between PS4 and PC, you know, they, you know, when Rocket League and Microsoft said, "Yeah, go on, we'll do this," Microsoft invited other networks to participate as well, and Sony said that while connecting the PlayStation Network to the PC is a very straightforward process, given the openness of the platform, they say that connection to the Xbox platform requires them to think about the nature of connecting two closed systems, and that the primary challenge would be policy and business related than technical, but they're open to working out cross-platform play on a per-game basis. Meanwhile, 3 developers, Psyonix did Rocket League, CD Projekt, which did the Witcher card game, and Studio Wildcard, which did Ark Survival Evolved, they've all stated that the technical requirements to enable cross-platform play between the Xbox One and the PS4 only requires Sony to say yes.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, about a lot of the specifications and whatnot are so close together anymore, and all use the same internet connection, the same Ethernet cords, almost pretty much the same servers. What's stopping them? It's again, it's literally just signing off and saying, "Go ahead and do it." Now, let me spin this in a different direction.
All right.
If Microsoft said nothing on the matter, and the people of Rocket League wanted to promote cross-platform play, would Sony jump on board with Nintendo? Do you think that would have happened? With PC, Nintendo, and now Sony instead of Microsoft. Say Microsoft was a little slow to jump on board.
Maybe.
Do you think PS4 would have taken that offer?
It's possible, because, you know, Sony's perspective is, you know, crush the opponents. So,
I mean, clearly PS4, is starting to integrate with PC more. We've seen it a little bit with PlayStation. What the fuck was it called?
Is it PlayStation Now?
Thank you. PlayStation Now, and with and View and TV, that Sony is opening up to having Sony games being played on PC platforms and other sources of media. So Sony's not opposed to it, and certainly doesn't view Nintendo as a threat in some regards.
They see Microsoft as the threat.
So and say Microsoft's stance didn't change on that, and say Sony says, all right, Nintendo PC, sure, we greenlight it, let's go. And then Microsoft, having not changed their stance at all, say a month down the road, says, we want to jump in too. Does Sony back out? Is the animosity between the two so great, or at least the one-sided animosity, because it doesn't seem like Microsoft gives a shit?
Oh no, they want Sony to jump on board with the crossplay, right? It's Sony that's the holdout, and only them.
So say Sony signs up with PC and Nintendo, and then a month later, Xbox says, yeah, let's do it. Then does Sony back out? I mean, I guess for me, the question is, is Sony that scared? Is Sony that spooked from Microsoft? Which they shouldn't. If anything, it should be the other way around. Sony should be the one saying, come on, join up, and Microsoft going, wait, hang on a sec, time out. It's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, and their reluctance to do so is just like, no, Sony, you've got far and away the biggest sales lead. You have the biggest share of the market. But going back to what we said at the beginning, it's like they're afraid that by allowing the crossplay between the two consoles, they're gonna lose business.
And I just don't see that being such a steep drop off. And yes, I do agree that they will lose some business. I think anything you do might, you assume some amount of risk, and that risk might be the tipping point for some consumers on whether or not they buy your product or not. You're going to get that with anything.
Yes.
But I think far and wide, the difference is not going to be enough for the vast majority of their owners. For the people who own PS4s.
And on the flip side, it's like Microsoft is A-okay with all of this. Has it cost them any sales? Has it cost them business with the Xbox One by saying, hey, we're going to allow crossplay with Nintendo?
I think their Xbox Play Anywhere has hurt them more than the Xbox One allowing cross-platform play with Nintendo and PC.
How so?
Well, with the Windows 10 networks, at least for me, the Xbox One is supposed to be this hugely powerful piece of machinery that costs quite a bit of money. But I already have a gaming quality PC. But now they're releasing all their games simultaneously between Windows 10 and Xbox One. Why am I going to get an Xbox One when I can get it for Windows 10? I can play it on my PC. Now, granted, I might be the minority, might be the exception to the rule, but
that's no different than PlayStation Now, though.
Precisely. Just Xbox did it first, Sony followed afterwards. But again, same difference. And I guess for me, this kind of comes back to the I want everything on one library, so does it really matter? It's all part of the same internet structure anyway. It's one internet.
Yep. I mean, it's...
I guess for me, the hardest thing for me to wrap this around is that it's such an easy, approachable concept. And this is something we normally expect out of Nintendo. But it's Sony that's staying in the 20th century.
Yeah, that surprises me. The fact that even Nintendo is like, yeah, we're becoming more open to this idea. Like, what?
And yes, the number of games that have this cross-platform play is fairly small. Probably the one that has the most cross-platform play is Dragon Quest X. That has it for PC, PS4, Switch, Wii U, 3DS, iOS. Holy fucking shit. You could play with pretty much any freaking platform.
I was going to say Minecraft, but...
And Minecraft too. I think... I mean... I would say Dragon Quest X gets the nod here because they have iOS and 3DS and Wii and Android, and they cover a lot of freaking ground.
They do, yes. It's just...
But yet they won't cross to the United States. Why, Square? Why? It was the only chance for me to actually possibly get invested in an MMO. And you blew it. You freaking blew it.
In fact, you suck. Go home. So it's like we have the technology. It's yes. The workload would increase because now you have to monitor. I mean, you need to, or maybe would it? I mean, since you're allowing crossplay on multiple consoles and platforms, you would think that the servers at that point would become, since it's open systems, they're all standardized.
And wouldn't you have like wouldn't the governing body be a lot easier? I mean, yeah, you're still overseeing probably roughly the same number of games being played. You probably are still going to have the same big security staff. But you don't have to have an Xbox team, a Sony team, a Nintendo team overlooking everything. It's just one big group.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you would need to take care of issues that happens on, the Xbox side or the Nintendo side or the
but you're going to get that. You're going to get that regardless.
Yes.
You're going to get that. You're going to have bad gamers or sore losers or technical issues and platform issues, no matter what, with or without the crossplay. With or without. But again, it just I have a hard time grasping. It's just sign off. Everything is just so synonymous anymore in 2018. Everything's so synonymous that why not?
Mm-hmm. So here's a pie in the sky hypothetical.
Okay.
Yeah, very pie in the sky, because I think this would be somewhere like world shattering. If cross-platform play, as it starts to become more known and more gamers, more developers start taking advantage of this, the idea of seeing like Mario Kart for PC
Wow. Yeah, you are going pie in the sky here. Holy shit, I was not expecting that.
Well, it's like, okay, you see a third-party developer like Psyonix take Rocket League and put it on Crossplay, PC, Xbox One, and Switch. That, you know, the hypothetical of seeing a multiplayer Nintendo game find its way to PC. I mean, not for nothing. Nintendo is taking its baby steps toward the mobile market. We just had a Mario Kart announced for mobile.
True.
So I see something like that, and Super Mario Run. I see something like that, and I'm going, maybe it's not too much of a leap anymore. But, you know, again, you know, the idea of being able to buy, like, Mario Kart or Smash on Steam or...
Yeah, and I guess I have to kind of imagine myself as Nintendo no longer is making their own games for their own system, that they're allowing this to head to other systems and promote the cross-platform play. I mean, that's a hell of a jump, because normally you don't see that until a company goes out of the console business like Sega. So, I mean, when you already have your own system, though, why would you want to make something for the Xbox One? Unless it was a title that is so universally beloved, like Mario Kart. I guess in a very, very, very limited capacity, it could work.
Yeah, I'm not saying Nintendo relinquish all of its first-party titles to Sony or Microsoft. I'm just saying, like, as you said, a limited, you know, sort of capability, limited games that are so well known. Like, we've had Mario Kart for 25 years. If you are a gamer and don't know what Mario Kart is,
get out from under the rock.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we already see Sonic being hoarded out to the other consoles and PC. Because, I mean, yes, Sega doesn't make consoles anymore. But seeing the fact that we have a Mario Kart game in development for iOS and Android tells me that, you know, seeing something like Mario Kart on the Xbox or PC and enabling cross-platform play is not entirely out of the realm of possibility anymore.
And I would say definitely the ones that have a big online presence, even games like Splatoon, I think could have this sort of cross-platform appeal to be able to pull something like that off, because they're so unique and different and have such a heavy emphasis on online play.
Exactly. It's again a hypothetical, so don't. Yeah,
I don't see Nintendo doing this anytime soon. Just throw that out there.
Oh yeah, obviously not. But you know, when I saw just this week that announcement of Mario Kart coming to mobile platforms, that it got me thinking. I'm like, well, if Nintendo is starting to take this step of relaxing the iron grip on their first-party IPs a little bit, then, you know, maybe... I mean,
it's not their first mobile romp. They did Mario Run, they did Fire Emblem, they did Animal Crossing.
And Pokemon Go. And
yeah, the biggest example of them all.
Yeah, so it's just, you know, just within the last 5 years. So it's like, I don't think we'll ever see a Mario Kart on, like, Xbox or anything like that, but, you know, I could certainly understand, I could certainly see Nintendo doing something like that for PC, perhaps. You know, once they get a better grip on this thing called the internet, and so it's something to think about. It's that it's I like to dream, and it all goes back to that whole idea of being able to play any video game we want on one machine.
Yeah.
You know,
it's what you want. It's what I want. I don't want to continue to dish out money year after year to continue to keep myself up to date.
Exactly. I mean, how long has the Xbox One and the PS4 been out now? A few years?
Oh, Jesus. Probably what? They came out around the time of the Wii. Okay. The Wii U came out first. They came out a year after that, so they've been out probably about 4, maybe 5 years.
Yeah, Xbox One came out in 2013, and so did PS4. Okay, so they both came out in 2013. It's been over 4 years.
Yep.
And I have had no reason to buy either one.
I only bought a PS4 really mostly for Dragon Quest. And now they're all coming to the Switch. All of it.
And it's
and between the two, I'm starting to think I'd rather have the Switch version.
Before I bought the Switch, the last console I purchased was PS3.
And you got some usage out of it.
I still am getting use out of it.
Well, that's because you still have games wrapped in cellophane, Brian.
For PS3, do I? Yes.
You probably do.
Yes, I do.
I know you better than that.
Yeah, I have a couple. But, I mean, I only replaced the hard drive on it last year. So, I was like, okay, I need to get rid of this 80 gig hard drive and put in one a little bit more substantial. So, but it's like, it has reached the point for me where, since the same games come out for PS4 and Xbox One, I'm just like, no thank you, I'll just get it on PC. You know, and so, for me, that is getting closer to that play all my video games on one machine sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's getting closer.
I get my new desk space, which will happen whenever I actually decide to get up off my ass and buy a house. I'm pretty much going to have the PC in one area, and then right next to it is going to be the Switch and maybe the PS4. But at this point, it's getting to the point where everything's coming out on all the same systems. Between PC and Switch, I have everything I need. So again, I don't think the PS4 withholding online play and crossplay with other systems it's going to help or hurt it.
Yeah, I as I said, I don't think it's going to start affecting Sony unless and until it becomes more of a thing. Yeah,
for now, the list of cross-platform games abnormally small. There's not many notable ones here. Probably the biggest is Street Fighter V.
But the fact that we now, that this idea is now catching the attention of developers and the big players, because now we have reached a point in consoles and PCs and networking where developers can now go, hey, we can do this now. And maybe we should start working that into some of our games. Now that it's caught the attention, I do think we're going to start seeing more games try to embrace this idea, and eventually, if it does catch on, if this does take off, I think that eventually Sony's position is going to be an untenable one.
Yeah, I think eventually something's going to cave here. And I think it's going to be Sony caving first, personally.
Well, they're the only ones really with the stick up their ass about it, so...
But my point is that what caves first? Sony's caving on its policy or Sony's company caving? And I think the policy will cave first.
Okay. It's like, will the company cave or will the policy cave? Yeah. And I think it'll cave once it starts affecting their bottom line.
Yes.
As with any business, because that's the language that businesses understand the most.
Yeah.
So while we as gamers really think this is a great idea, we should have more of this, business logic, again, never makes any sense. So,
no.
Do you have anything more you would like to add, or can I put this to bed?
I guess the only thing I would ask is one final thing is, or maybe perhaps you've already answered it, if there is anything that you would like to see that isn't cross-platform play become cross-platform play, what would it be? But I think you've already answered that with the Mario games.
I have definitely with the Mario games, because just again, think about it. You put Mario Kart on PC, oh my god, the player pool becomes that much bigger.
Sure does.
Like, I mean, Mario Kart itself, I mean, it doesn't have a problem. You're not going to lack for gamers and competition on Mario Kart, not when it's sold millions and millions of copies. But put that on PC, and oh dear lord.
And then have to weed out all the cheaters. Oh boy. Nintendo would have a tall order.
Yeah, I mean, again, Nintendo is learning and improving on this whole internet thing. They're like, ooh, you know,
they're taking. It's like a toddler.
It's getting there. It's learning. It's learning. They're gonna release their online paid service in September. So
$20 a year, I don't think is too bad.
Oh hell no! I'm like, please. 20. I could shit $20 and be good for the year. So
I mean, considering Sony and Microsoft are triple that.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they throw in extra freebie stuff, but I think even Nintendo's going to do that.
Yeah.
I think they're throwing in like a virtual console game a month, and unless you buy it, it goes away at the end of the month, something like that.
Yeah. Like, all right.
But again, Nintendo's virtual console. How many classics can we pull from Nintendo's 30-year history, 30 plus? Especially if the game
you don't already own 400 times.
Especially if the whole rumor of GameCube Virtual Console is a thing. There's definitely still a few GameCube titles: Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, the Prime games.
Oh, I think a GameCube Virtual Console is coming now that they have support for GameCube controllers with the Switch.
Oh yeah, I think it's inevitable.
I think it's coming. I just think that allowing GameCube controller support was probably such an easy bit of programming that it was just like, all right.
Well, because they already had it for Smash 4.
Yeah, they had it for the Wii U, so I think that it's coming. It's just a question of when at this point. So,
and I'd say September. I think that's what they were trying to iron out, and I think how do I want to put this? I think the era of online gaming is continuing to evolve and expand in ways I never thought even 5 years ago this would even be possible.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see where this all takes us.
Yes. And the last thing I will say on this is that, you said you think, if this becomes more popular, cross-platform play, that Sony will eventually cave, their policies will cave. But don't forget that, it might take like a larger developer playing a little hardball, like say a Square Enix.
I wouldn't say Square per se.
Or EA.
EA could do it. I'm thinking more along the lines of Capcom. Right. With how big the competitive circuits are now, and companies like Blizzard, I think they are going to be the ones that start pushing this issue. With how much money there is to be made, and how much in ad revenue these companies could haul in. Not just the developers, but the system makers as well. I think that this is another frontier of gaming being tapped into, and we don't exactly know how big this oil well goes. So if Sony starts seeing, big time developers like Capcom and Blizzard, and even to some extent EA with their FIFA and Madden tournaments, and see how much that they could possibly make out of ad revenue by allowing cross-platform play, I think that will certainly change Sony's tune.
It very well might. Money talks. All right. So if any of you out there have any questions, comments, thoughts on this episode, or any other episode of downloadable content, let us know. You can go on our website, dlcpodcast.com, click the feedback button. It'll let us know what you thought. You can also get to us on our Facebook and Twitter pages. And again, every episode can be found on the website, as well as upcoming recordings. All episodes can also be found on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, and Google Play Music as well. So there it is, dlcpodcast.com. So all it remains for me to do on this episode is to thank Nick for being on. Now go get that cold taken care of.
Yeah, I think laryngitis has set in from all the talking today. Well, I know I sound very raspy, so...
No. That's fine. Thank you for taking time out of your day.
No, thanks as usual for being such a gracious host, and we must really do this again. I think sooner rather than later. Yes. Anyone who's reading the upcoming recordings probably knows when I'm going to show up next.
Yes. So the next time we see Nick, he's going to be all over Mega Man. Take that as you will. All right, I'm Brian. Have a good one, everybody.